Hi guys, welcome back from spring break. So this week I need to explain your assignment for your timeline. But before I do that, I've asked Katie to come out here because I know you're tired of seeing my face as well as all of the faces of all of your teachers. So I thought I would have my daughter start, and I've asked her to tell a funny story because I've told you before I really appreciate humor, but you know I'm not funny. I'm not inherently funny. She, however, is. So I want her to tell a story because you might listen to her, get sucked into the webcast, and then when I go over the assignment, you're already in. So, Katie, tell them your story.
Okay, hi guys. So I'm 18, and last year, 2019, I guess, for part of the year, I lived in Idaho.
With grandma.
Yes, with my extended family. I worked at Idaho State University for one of my jobs, and I was an administrative assistant to the person who was like the head of the health education department there. And so for one of our things there, we were doing a mental health like fair, and it was just educating people on mental health and health issues and stuff. And so for part of my job, I had to go around to different businesses and ask them to sponsor it or just put up flyers for it. And so for part of that, I would go to doctors' offices and like therapy offices because those are like specialized in mental health. Okay, and so one of the places that I went to was this therapy place, and so I'd never been there before. I just like looked at the address and I was just gonna show up and tell them about this place. And I park the car, I start walking up to the building, and it like said, "Please enter through the basement." And I was like, okay, they're weird. So I go down through the basement, like the little stair walkway, and I open it, and there's no like front desk or anything. I was like, I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to. It's just like this big room. There's like another hallway, and then a bunch of chairs in a circle, and there were some people sitting there, and I was like, I guess this is like the waiting room. I'll just wait till someone comes out and I can just ask to talk to them. So I sat down, I was like waiting there, and everyone was like kind of awkward, just kind of sitting there. And then this person comes in, and they were wearing a name tag, so they worked there, and they're like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming again this week." And then I was like, "What? Where am I?" But I didn't say anything because I was like, maybe I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. And then she starts talking about her experience with cocaine and how she was an addict for many years and how it almost destroyed her life. And I was like, yikes, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. And then she was like, does anyone want to talk? Does anyone have anything to say? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting.
And this is the point you should get up and leave. Just saying that.
Yes, but I didn't know how to get up and leave because I didn't want to make people uncomfortable, because if it was clear that I had been in there listening to them, then they would probably get really uncomfortable. So this person stands up and they start talking, and then like a bunch of people start talking, and I was like, either I gotta make up something to say or I gotta get out of here. But I didn't just want to be like, oh, I think we're at the wrong place, because it's been way too long to finally realize that I've been in the wrong place. So I did that thing where I looked at my phone and was like, as if there was something there. There wasn't anything there. Pretended to be shocked by something and was like, okay, gotta go. Stood up and just left. I like hurried on out of the parking lot, got in my car, was freaking out. I like called people. I was like, this is a crazy story, and I never went back there. So that's the story.
Awesome. Like I told you, she's got funny stories. Tell you what we're going to do. So every week I have to introduce the assignment. If you've got a funny story you want to share, send it to me, and I'll put it in as a segue before I get into the yibber yabber. Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Hey, while we were out here, my other daughter came in to show me a picture. So, Jenny, pop in and say hi. This is my ACAD. These are my honors history classes.
Hey, ACAD honor history class.
Look at what she just painted.
Look what I just painted.
What are you doing painting?
Right now, we're gonna paint each other.
Awesome. Oh, I'll take my camera. Before I go out and explain things, I'll just take my camera out and show these kids outside so you can see like ways that you can do good social distancing and not put people in jeopardy, but also like have some kind of social life. So anyway, come on with me and I'll introduce you to her friends outside and then we're going to give you the assignment. Thanks, Kate. Okay. So you guys are on the video. Hey, everybody say hi.
Hi.
Okay, what are you guys doing? Painting. Oh, ow! So how come you guys are so far away from each other?
Distancing.
Yes, because that's what's cool, right? So cool. Okay, everybody say bye. This week's assignment is on creating a digital timeline. This is phase 1. There'll be 2 different phases to it. And then, frankly, we're going to be using this timeline throughout the rest of the year. So I think the easiest way for me to show you how to do this is to take you directly to Canvas. I'm assuming you all have been using Canvas with your other courses. If you don't know how to access Canvas, just drop me an email and I will send that out to you. But I think at this point you probably have all been on Canvas. Certainly I gave you instructions for the 3 Worlds Meet assignment on Canvas as well. But I'm going to take you down to the timeline of American history, which is listed here on the screen. If you look on the right, it's listed on your to-do list. Phase 1, April 13th through the 17th. April 13th to the 17th is your current event. And let me walk you, and then you have the digital access to the textbooks. Now, let me take you into the actual assignment and I'll walk you through it. Now, I've opened the phase 1, April 13th through the 17th. This involves your era selection, selecting your events, ideas, and individuals, and also your reading check. So there are 3 parts to this phase 1, and then there's a 4th assignment you're doing here as well. So let me go through what you'll be doing this week. Follow along with me while I read. Phase 1, Timeline of American History, 1755 to 1877. Objective, recognize key events, ideas, themes, individuals in American history. 1. Select readings and sign up for a specific era on the shared Google table, available in your email and on Canvas, as well as on nesthistory.org. 2. Identify 5 to 7 ideas, events, individuals you will be highlighting from your readings. Post the title of those events on the Google table. 3. Complete the progress reading checks associated with your readings and post the questions with your answers on Canvas. And then 4, complete the current events feedback form, what's happening in our world and why it's important, dated April 13th through the 17th. Now let's go through each of those step by step. And at the risk of being redundant, we'll start with step 1, sign up. Select your readings and sign up for a specific era on the shared Google table, available in email and or on Canvas below. Eras will be selected on a first-come, first-served basis. Once an era has been selected, it is no longer available for selection. Sign your full name on the table. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this table. You can access it here, where I've posted it, or you can access it directly from the link I shared with you, entitled American History Timeline Sign-Up Sheet. Either one. Now, for consistency's sake, I'm going to stay in Canvas. So you'll go through and identify the era that you would like to highlight. Scroll up and down on the table here to find the era I want to highlight. If there's no name, it's available. If there is a name there, that one has already been taken. And for the purposes of understanding the assignment, I've actually put a name on one of those. So I have gone ahead and selected the Civil War, Lesson 2, Early Years of the War. You'll see that I've put a name right here, signing up for this tab. Now, once I've done this video, I'll remove that, so this topic will be available for one of you. Once you've selected the topic you want, you will sign your name on the Google Doc. And again, you can type right here in the Google Doc, So if I wanted to take life during the Civil War, I'd type my name here. Or you can add your name directly onto the timeline. Okay, now that you've completed step 1, you're ready to move on to step 2, events, individuals, ideas, highlighted. Complete your selected readings in the text. Instructions for accessing the textbook online are located within this module. I'm going to go and show you how to do that right now. Returning to the modules, you'll see the tab entitled Digital Access to the Textbook, Discovering Our Past. I'm going to open that tab. And to access the textbook online, I'll follow these instructions. Follow along with me while I read. You will need access to the textbook to complete this assignment. Hard copies are currently available at the school for checkout from 9:30 a.m. to 11 o'clock a.m. Monday through Friday. As I told you earlier, those books are where the lunch ladies are providing lunch to folks. So they also have a cart that has a book you can check out. If you choose to check out a book, you need to email me telling me the book number. I've received emails from a number of you already. However, if you prefer to use the digital copy of the text, we've purchased that digital copy for you. That's part of what we did with some of the money that your parents gave us earlier on in the year. Here are instructions for accessing the text. You're going to start by going to myeducation.com. If you hit that tab, it will bring you right here. Instructions to use your username and your password are also listed right here. So your username obviously is different for each of you. It is your student number preceded by the uppercase letters ASD. So if my student number were 963000, my username would be ASD 963000. And then I've set all of your passwords, and that password is History1. I'm typing in the password History1. Put in that username. Now remember, your username is the ASD with your password. And then your password, which for all of you is History1, and then log in. This is what you should all find when you come in. You may have other classes. I don't know about that. I know I went ahead and purchased this one for us on a short-term basis so we could access the textbook. But once you come in here, you'll go ahead and open up the textbook and identify your readings. Iwana selected the Civil War, Lesson 2, Early Years of the War. For those of you using hard copies, you can look at the page numbers in the center box. But for those of you online, you're going to use those titles, the Civil War, Early Years of the War, to access the readings. So I'll use this drop-down menu to find her topic, which was the Civil War. Right here, there's her topic. Her lesson was Early Years of the War, and she also had the overview. So I look in here. I need to start by reading the chapter opening. That's this first part here. So I'll go there. If it's easier for me, I can actually have a reader read it for me while I follow along.
The story matters. In November 1860, voters elect Abraham Lincoln, a self-educated lawyer from Illinois, president.
The overview includes not just this piece, but the place and time as well. So Iwana has to read this. And then Iwana's topic-specific pages are going to be Lesson 2, Early Years of the War. Now in the book, those are the page numbers I would go to. But in the digital textbook, I'll go to Lesson 2, the Early Years of the War. And this provides me, I actually like this. It provides me a lot of different ways I can look at it. I can follow here on these page numbers. All of these are different sections for the early years of the war. Make note of that right there. We're going to need that at a later time, the reading progress check. These sections are all Lesson 2 that Iwana would be responsible for knowing. Notice, in addition, there are a number of graphics on the side, as well as videos that are available. Now, I can hear you saying to yourself, why would I do additional work if I don't have to? Well, you do want to do this additional work because this will give you more information you will need down the road, and that will become clearer to you as we move along.
As the Civil War entered its third.
So be sure to use, if you're accessing it digitally, all of these tools. It's an advantage of using the digital textbook that we've made available to you. So that's how you access your textbook. You go to this website, you put in that username, which is, remember, ASD followed by your student numbers, and then your password is History 1. Okay, got a little off track showing you how to get to the digital textbook, but there are some real advantages to using the digital textbook as opposed to the book because, you have videos, you have all those graphics, and you're going to need those later on when you're making your timeline. So anyway, so now let me take you back to how you will complete step 2 of phase 1. We'll come back over here to that module. Open up phase 1 so we can get to step 2. So let me walk you through that step 2. You've done your readings. And as you're reading these sections, you're identifying, okay, what are the 5 to 7 things that I'm reading about that I think are the most important? So this is lesson 2, early years of the war. What are the most important things I'm going to talk about? So I've got to stay within early years of the war. So as I read this, I'm finding things that I think really matter. I might want to talk, for example, about the battle between the ironclads, which means I'm going to read this and find specific information I think is important. Now you're limited to 5 to 7 events for each era that you're covering, so be specific. All of these ideas are still lesson 2. For example, Battle of Antietam. That's a big one. The writer of this one's definitely going to want to use the Battle of Antietam. So if I chose to do the Emancipation Proclamation, I would then come in to the timeline here. But frankly, for me, it's easier to use here. So on that Google spreadsheet, I'm going to write the theme. So I'm going to do the Emancipation. I then am going to check, particularly the people near me. So whoever has Toward the Civil War, lesson 3, lesson 1, and lesson 2, and make sure they're not covering that as well. Now, the truth is, if you stick with your readings, you should not have the same themes. But sometimes, like in the example I gave with George Washington, he shows up in a lot of different places. So we want to make sure that you're specific when you write down what you're going to be highlighting. Step 3, reading checks. When you have completed your reading and identified the important things in your reading, you're then going to complete the reading checks associated with your readings. Post both your questions and answers in the quiz below. So I'm going to click on Take the Survey. And it says Reading Check. Each of the errors highlighted, here's my question. Each of the errors highlighted and selected within the text and identified on the shared Google Doc include 2 to 3 progress reading checks. If you look at the example right here, it shows you those reading checks. They're highlighted. If I come back over to the textbook, I can see the reading checks in here as well. So here's a reading check right here. How did the loss of New Orleans alter the Confederacy? I'm going to go ahead and just copy that because I have to have that for this portion. Write both your progress check question and responses. I will grade and post your questions and responses on April 18th. If you post this late, you have to contact me directly because I have to grade it separately. This one I will go through on the 18th. I'll grade all of them and they automatically go from Canvas and sync to Skyward. But if you're doing it late, it won't automatically sync. So I'm going to put in my question. And let's see if I have any other ones here too. There's usually 2 to 3 progress checks per section. Here's another one. And we'll see if we have one more. There's my last one. And there is my last one. And now I have to answer those questions. So I'll come in and I will type my response. The loss of New Orleans affected, affected the Confederacy by, okay, and I'll go back in, I'll make sure I know the answer to that question, and I'll type. So there's my answer. I'm going to answer those next 2 questions as well and submit my quiz. So there is step 1, sign up for an event. Step 2, identify the 5 to 7 events you will be covering. And step 3, take the test from your reading and progress checks in your selected readings. But wait, you're not done yet. If you go back to the module, the last assignment you'll be completing this week that we'll be doing every week from here on out, and that's your current events. So open up the tab and I'll show you how to do that. I'm only going to show you this once, but you'll be doing this every week hereafter. Follow along with me while I read. During the week of April 13th through the 17th, you are to watch and complete 3 separate CNN 10 current events. The webcast is available here. So you can watch this at home, on your TV, or on the computer, whatever toots your horn. With each webcast, you are required to do the following. 1, post your notes and responses, following the same format we used in class, in a private journal, something that you can keep and access far into the future. 2, discuss those current events with your parents. I'll be checking in with them periodically to ensure you are engaging them in discussion. And 3, at the end of the week, complete 1 feedback form, represent all 3 viewings, your journal responses, and parental discussion. So at the end of the week, you're going to take this quiz. Question 1, how many episodes of CNN 10 did you watch for the week of April 13th through the 17th? We're going to say we did 3 or more because we're just that kind of person. Pretty sure that Trey's probably watched all of them since school got out. Question 2, did you complete notes and responses in your journal? Well, we know Summer did because she's that kind of person. And question 3, did you discuss current events and your responses, reactions with your parents? Of course we did, because we're ACAD students. Then you'll submit your quiz, and those answers will come back to me. So there you go. There's the activities that are due this week by Friday. If you have any questions, concerns, reach out to me. So there you go. There's your assignment. Seems like a lot, but let's just nutshell version of it. Step 1, you determine what area you're going to study and you put it on that Google Sheet. Step 2, read that section in your textbook, either digitally or the hard copy. Step 3, back on step 2, identify 5 to 7 important events that you're going to be covering and put that on the Google Doc. And then step 3, do the progress checks for your selected readings and complete those and input those in Canvas for me. And the last thing you're doing is your CNN 10. When you put it that way, it doesn't seem like so much. Saturday, I'll be going in and grading it. And then one last important announcement. If you're struggling getting online or, just cruds come up. Truth is, I'm so disconnected from you. I really dislike that right now, but stuff can happen. So if there's stuff I need to be aware of, or if you just want help with something, I will be available online, and I'll send you a link via Google Hangouts on Tuesday and Thursday from 12 o'clock to 12:30, and that time will be exclusively for you guys. So if you want to just come on in, ask questions, or meet up with some other people and ask them questions, you're welcome to do that. And that's Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 12:30. I will be available for questions online. Look in your email or on Facebook or on the Google Calendar, just like we accessed it before, to get into the Google Hangout. think you're awesome. I'm hoping this doesn't last forever, although I do want you to know I have mapped out to the end of the year. So if you look on the calendar on the class website, you will notice if you go to that calendar, I do have the rest of the year mapped out. So if you're wondering what's happening this week, you can look ahead and see what's coming up for each week until, truthfully, the end of the year. Okay, if you need me, I'm there Tuesday and Thursday for the Google Hangout. If you need me earlier, send me an email. I'm responding to those fairly regularly. I will update if you do your work earlier on Canvas. I typically update 2 to 3 times a week. For my Spanish class, I'm doing it almost every night. And first come, first serve on that sign up for the Google Sheet. So get on there quick, get that taken care of. Think you're awesome. Adios.